I saw that in a book one time. It had Lawrence Welk. Lawrence, he was over there. He had a bottle of Geritol. He was it was funny.
Well, what?
Yeah, the main line.
Yeah.
He was gonna be all right.
Did he die?
Lawrence Welk? I don't know.
I think he's still alive, isn't he?
Somebody just died recently. Who died? David Brinkley.
David Brinkley and Gregory Peck.
Yeah.
My hero. I love Gregory.
I loved him in Kill a Mockingbird.
I liked him. He was so sweet.
All right, you two.
Hello.
Hi. Oh, I'm depressed.
Yes, you are.
Yeah,
Act the part, will you?
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine. And you?
Doing all right. You know, just getting along. You know, but it.
What does getting along mean to you?
Just, going to work and, keeping a roof over my head. And, that's about it, just go along with life. What's in it anyway.
You know, the difference between last week and this week is remarkable. Can you tell me what's happened between last week and this week?
Well, my brother died.
I am so sorry.
And, I miss him. There's a piece of me in there that, I miss him, but I don't miss him at the same time. Because when we split up, he was, we split up in bad terms, and I hadn't seen him in 7 years. Now he died. And I don't know how to take it. I cried for him for a few minutes, but that was it, and I miss him, and that's it, but I don't know how I feel about it, really. I don't know. I'm sure there's a part of me that, well, actually a big part of me that should be, wow, man, my brother's gone. But there's another part of me that, it's just a part of life, gotta go. And that's just the way I feel about it. And for 7 years, we didn't talk for a long time. And we talked on the phone a few times, in the last year, a few times. Then he was dead.
How did he just die all of a sudden? I mean, just
No.
to help me frame that.
No, that's another part of it. He committed suicide.
Oh.
Committed suicide. And I think I'm angry about that. That could be one of the things. Like I said before, I don't know whether I feel okay about it or if I miss him. I don't know. I don't know. That's just the way I feel.
Wow.
And I'm getting more depressed all the time. In the last few days, it's getting deeper and deeper, and I think it's just because of the way maybe I'm supposed to feel one way. Am I supposed to feel the other way? I don't know. What do you think?
Well, let me ask you this. When you tell me that you're supposed to feel this way, is that how you think you're supposed to feel, or how other people make you feel like you should feel?
Yeah. I haven't really talked about it to anybody. I'm one of the guys that it keeps their problems inside. I don't talk to anybody. Well, I'm here with you. Because it's getting worse all the time. And I needed to talk to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But like my friends and everybody, they're all, I love them and everything.
Yeah.
But, that's, it's my business. It's my insights that I want to keep. It's my thing.
what I hear you saying is that it's yourself, is that you're battling about how you're supposed to feel right now. That your way of framing things is inside of you.
Yeah.
Not how other people think, but how you are thinking that you need to feel about this.
Right.
You.
Yeah.
Not your mom, your sister, your aunt, or your uncle,
No,
but
but me.
you.
Me, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So now let me kind of go back in and I want to just kind of explore some things with you, okay? You know, I heard you tell me that you and your brother have had, you know, a relationship that was kind of fractured during the last 7 years, and that you had moments of contact with him. And I just want to ask you, in those moments of contact, were those good times when you connected, or were they filled with some still negative things?
Oh, no, there were good times, you know, when it was just talking on the phone, you know, how are you doing, you know, and just talk about what we've been up to. As far as really connecting, you know, that might be not far-fetched, but it isn't, you know, right on the money either, you know, because I could still tell in his voice that there was still tension going on between us, that we should have resolved this years ago, you know, we should have. And but you know, my pride, his pride, you know, neither one of us want to say we're sorry, you know. I don't say I'm sorry for anything that I do, you know, and neither did he. He was strong-headed, just like me, you know. Maybe that's one of the things, you know. He was just like me, you know. We were exactly alike, you know, personality-wise and everything, you know.
So, in your mind, is there a rightness and wrongness about being the way both of you were? Or
No, it was wrong, you know. Maybe we should have talked more. Maybe we should have, you know, we should have done more things together, you know. And he and my little brother are, you know, they're real tight, you know. They're real tight. But I had my own thing, you know. I was out doing my own thing, you know, and those two, they did their own thing, you know. And they were really close. They were really close. And the way I see my brother, my younger brother, the one that's still alive, he's hurting still, you know. And I see him, you know, that he looks at his picture, you know, does have a little tear in his eye. Now when I look at his picture, you know, I kind of, you know, see you later, you know. I'll be there eventually, you know. Not anytime soon. I don't know how to explain it. I just don't know how I feel. You know? We left. We were fighting. It was the last time that I saw it. You know, we had a fight. It was real. Not a fist fight. It was real. I mean, yelling, screaming, the whole bit. You know. And from that point on, we never talked. And then he got a job up in Minnesota, and I hadn't seen him since.
so you kind of just dug in, both of you dug in, kind of like when you were maybe kids and dug in, only now we're an adult, but we dug in as an adult.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, he wasn't going to budge, I wasn't going to budge, and the fight just ended that way. And I hadn't seen him for a long time. Then finally got to talk. There was still tension, but it wasn't, you know, we talked about small talk.
So given that, you know, I'm wondering, and you need to help me if I'm framing this wrong or right, is that you said early on in this conversation that, you know, he had committed suicide, and then you have the anger going on, and then you had the few times now that you're talking about, but that it had not been really connected. It just connected to connect in a way, to say hi, Bob, and just skated on the top, but never would go back into what the two of you had been polarized over.
No.
So perhaps maybe what you're also feeling about is that, you know, the regret that you guys were not able to resolve this before this happened. That number two, that he just took it upon himself to shut the door and that now he's dead and there's no way to fix it. He took that upon himself. And that, you don't know what to do about it because he took that opportunity away from you.
Well, yeah,
Is that
but I
how you're
closed the door on
feeling?
him too.
Hmm?
I closed the door on him too. I had him on my shoulder, but I knocked him off. He was, I'd like to carry him as much as I could have, back in those days, except for that time.
So you are, I guess I hear you saying that you are feeling, have some real feelings because you did let go of him.
Oh yeah, I did. I know I did. He was a really, really pleasant guy.
But
we just had a fight.
Well, and that's, if we look at it, we all have, because we're human beings, fights with people. And, we assume we're going to get that moment to get it back again, to correct it up. Or sometimes we just say to people, well, go on, one less person in our life, and we don't have ever an intention for going back and fixing it, because that's just the way that is.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a part of being a human being, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
And we don't have a crystal ball that we can look into and say, oh, tomorrow this person's going to be angry, or this person is just going to kill himself, or this person's going to be in a car wreck tomorrow. We don't have that ability. But I hear you kind of saying that you wish you'd had that crystal ball.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now in hindsight, at the time, it was, oh, yeah, okay. I'll talk to you. Call me again. I'll call you. And, yeah. And that was about the size of it. But yeah, like you said, I had that crystal ball. I told him, hey, this is what we thought about that, and I don't want any more hard feelings. I think we should, get together again and be brothers again.
Well, I had this thought. What if that's the part that is weighing on you for just this moment? Maybe you could pretend that I am him. And maybe you could talk about those things and get them out of you.
No.
And I don't know if that would help you or not, to pretend that I am him. Because I'm not a very good him, obviously, but I am here. And I'm not going to judge you one way or the other, whether you've got some real angry feelings to tell me, or whether you want to just pour your heart out to me. It's okay either way you want to go with that.
Okay, I can try that.
I don't know if you tried that with anybody before.
No, I don't talk to anybody about it.
Right, and that's what, but I wanted to be sure that I wasn't repeating something that you'd already tried.
No, I never tried that. But I'd like to tell him that, that night when we got into the fight earlier, this is what led up to the fight. Anyway, that it was just a car, and me stopping him from drinking and fighting in a bar, I grabbed him and I put him in the car, and he started beating up my car, and I was like, hey man, what's wrong with you? And then he said he's going to take me out, I'll kick your ass. You let me out of this car, and I'll kick your ass. So I just let it go. Because he was drunk for one. So I took him home, and then it was 2 days later. 2 days later, I went to talk to him again, and this time I didn't try to explain the 2 nights before. All I did was walk to him and I said, okay, Joe, you're sober, I'm sober, you want to fight, you want to kick my ass, do it now. Do it right now. And that was the last words I ever said to him. He just turned around and walked away. And I went home, and I never tried to. That's what our fight was about.
Was over that night,
Mm-hmm.
and his, well, he wasn't thinking clearly because of the alcohol,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And maybe you weren't thinking clear. You were thinking more clear than he in the
Oh,
sense
yeah.
that you knew that you needed to get him home
Yeah.
before something horrible happened to him. And so I need to come to you with this. Do you know why he killed himself?
No.
Are you somehow thinking that the reason that he killed himself had to do with anything that was between the two of you?
I'd like to think not, but I bet it was a brick in the wall. I bet it was a piece that left him behind, or that I pushed him off my shoulders.
So are you, bottom line, taking some responsibility for his death and all of this?
Maybe not bottom line, but a piece, yes. A piece of it.
Okay. Well, what if we were to look at it this way? Do you agree that we all have the ability to have choice in our life? Okay? And that we all have the ability to make decisions. And if he had really been able to accurately reflect on that evening, which he may have in some kind of way,
I should have given that chance, but I didn't.
but
It was my words that came out at that time.
But he could have, along the path of the 7 years, made the choice to make that first step to come towards you also, couldn't he? And he made another choice, which was to not come towards you. Is that true?
Yeah.
Excuse me. So he was the master of his ship up until the moment that he made the decision to take his life. Is that not true?
It's true.
So he could have at any point along the road, the same as you could have, taken the responsibility to call you up and say, hey Placido, hey bro, let's meet somewhere. Let's talk this out. Now couldn't he have?
Yeah. Well, he offered me a plane ticket. Go see him.
And?
I didn't go. You know, that was one of my choices. Maybe that closed the door a little more. I don't know. I don't know what he was thinking. You know, my brother Fred was there. He was there in the same house when it happened.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even know why it happened.
Why? What happened?
Why he committed suicide. He was in the same house. He wasn't even dead yet when Fred found him.
Wow.
He wasn't dead yet. And
Wow.
it was my nephew was the one that cut the rope. And my brother was pulling him up. My nephew cut the rope, and they brought him down, called the ambulance. He was still alive. He died in the ambulance.
Did he say anything?
No, no, not that I know of. You know, Fred never said anything, or I don't. I've asked him, you know, why did he do this? And Fred said, I don't know. He doesn't know. He said all he did was just he was sitting there, and they were drinking, having fun. Next thing you know, he had an argument with Deb.
With who?
Deb, his wife, and his son. Joe was trying to, I don't know, hug him or something, and Dominic said, stay away from me. Well, you know, Dominic never did like to be drinking. You know, that was Dominic's number one peeve, you know, that was drinking. But anyway, so just leave me alone, like a lot of kids do, you know, they say, oh, just leave me alone. Well, anyway, that was, I guess, the trigger or whatever. And Fred said he just got up, and Fred said, I thought he was just going to the restroom. But no. About, he said just 15 minutes later or so, you know, he's like a little while later. He said, where's Joe? Wasn't he in the restroom? And then they said, no. So we started walking around the house, and they found him in the garage. And Fred just saw him there and picked him up, and Dominic cut the rope, dropped him on the ground, and when the ambulance came, he was still alive. But he died in the ambulance on the way to the hospital.
Yeah. Well, you know,
I don't know why.
some things in life will never go why. And you know, there have been people that have had brothers and sisters and friends be extremely close to them, and they've still committed suicide. You know, they still have done it. So suicide is a very difficult thing to look at because it affects people with great relationships and it affects people with fractured relationships. It has to do with that person and the way he is framing life and the way they internalize everything. It has nothing to do with you or with your other brother or with his son or with his wife. It's how he was framing things in his way of seeing life.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that helps you look at it, is that, you know, you could leave the session and, you know, do the same thing he did. But it would have to be a way that you're framing things.
Well, no, I'm nowhere near that, you know, I love life too much, you know.
Well, I understand that.
And,
But you're feeling...
I just wanted to know why. You know, I never did find out. No one told me. I just know the instances that happened before. And I know it's just little bricks in the wall that happens to people, and they just build a wall, and they just crumble inside their own walls.
Well, have you ever talked to other people that have had relatives or friends commit suicide?
No.
Well, I was sitting here and thinking that I have come across many people, truly, in my life who have had people that have done this very thing. And I can share one example with you. Is a man, very successful man, could write his ticket anywhere. And his two sons, the son Rose and Diamond, he had custody of them. He was so busy that he had to make like carved out appointments, if you will, just to be, so he could be there on the money for his sons. And he and I talked on this day, and he said, I've got to go home because Shaka's waiting for me to take him to a game. As he pulled into the garage to go pick Shaka up for the game, Shaka shot himself and was laying on the floor, okay? And still alive, the same as your brother, arrived at the hospital, alive maybe 20 minutes at the hospital, and he died. Now, he is struggling today, and it's been a while since Shaka killed himself, with that same question that you're asking yourself, is why? And Shaka had dressed himself up in a suit, had all the family pictures lined up on the fireplace, and shot himself. And Les still to this day does not know why he did it. So Les, a bright man, a very accomplished man, you know, it happens in every walk of life. And so I'm just wondering if it would not help you maybe to talk to people who, no matter whether it was yesterday, today, or years ago, that they've lost somebody to suicide. And maybe to connect you up with a support group, to talk to people. I can call Les for you, and I can ask him if he wouldn't mind talking to you, if that's the way you want to go. But you have to feel comfortable with it. I'm just saying I'm willing to help you to connect in those circles. If that's something that you think would make you feel better.
It made me feel better just bring it out finally. And I think that'd be a good idea to talk to somebody else who's been there, done that. Yeah, I think it'd be a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah. And I can say one thing to you that I know through Les's story to me about how awful that can impact one's life, because he told me that there was not any one day of his life that he had not gone out to that cemetery and just wanted to lay down and die with Shaka. Because he just could not understand why his oldest son, had taken himself away from him and everything that he loved. So that's the depth of where this man is coming from with his feelings. And, you know, I'm glad to hear you say that, because there's not anything I can say to you that can maybe change anything at all for you in this moment. But maybe by talking to other people who have been wandering around or been, you know, going through this in the same way that you have, maybe different players, there could be an awesome thing that can happen there for you. And my hope is that, you know, one, you're going to find other people that have been in the same place as you, asking the same questions. And three, maybe be able to be empowered through that process, to come out of it and not bear all the burden yourself.
I don't bear all the burden, but I'm just one of those bricks in the wall.
Okay, I'm glad you clarified that for me.
Yeah, it's just one brick.
Well, maybe the brick won't be so bad if you can talk to these people, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I mean, we can't change what happened, but we can provide some other resources for you. And, you know, journaling might be another thing that you could, you know, we could connect you up, and maybe they journal, and there could be some things that you could really have that would be empowering to you, that you could say, on this day I'm feeling this way, maybe choose to share that with them. And they could, you know, but I do know that there are those kind of groups around, and I think we together could look at them and maybe do some investigating about which ones would really fit for you. Feel okay to you?
Yeah.
Okay, and what I would like for you to do this next week is to give me a call, and then maybe we can make a time to discuss this, either if you want to in person or to discuss this on the phone. But I want to get that information to you right away, and I need to have the time to go, you know, make some phone calls and look into that. And then I would like for you to do that. But then later in the week, when we talk, after we talk, I just want to make it a point that we do connect between now and the next session. I just want to do that.
All right.
All right, are you
I'll do
sure
that.
you're doing okay?
Yeah, I feel better. I feel better.
Are you sure?
Talking about it.
Okay.
And I'm sure I'll feel better, you know, talking to somebody that has. Okay.
This session is on anger.
Yeah.
Hello, Placido.
Hello. How are you?
I'm fine.
Oh, wow.
Good to see you.
Well, good to see you too. How you been?
I've been fine, I think. You know how that goes. How about yourself?
I've been doing all right. Been doing okay. I got some complaints.
Really?
Yeah, but you know, some that you know I guess I can tell you. You're a counselor. I guess I can tell you my bitches. Well, it all started many years ago. Many years ago. I was arrested for an assault and battery. Long time.
Long time ago?
Yeah, and I lived with it for a long time. You know, I did construction jobs, you know, landscaping jobs, you know, working on my bands, you know, just you know whatever I could do, you know, to make the bucks. You know. Well, I finally got hurt. I got hurt, and so I went to college.
You got hurt? Let me...
Yeah, well, okay. I was working in framing. I was framing a house, and I had done that for a little while, and I fell off a building.
Oh.
And I hurt myself.
Yeah.
So now I have screws in my ankles.
Oh my goodness.
And it's hard, you know, for me to even just walk. You know, I can't walk on like rocks. You know, even like they have in parking lots. You know,
Yeah.
those little beds of rocks. You know, I can't walk on those very
Painful,
well.
huh?
Yeah, I lose balance right away.
Oh my
And even
goodness.
walking on a curb, I lose balance right away. Yeah.
Wow, that must have been some fall.
So now, I went to college, you know,
Right.
the workman's comp, you know, it's kicked in, you know, and the doc told me I had to find something else to do, so I did. I went to college, you know, 'cause I knew I didn't want to work like that the rest of my life. You know, I
Yeah.
had to do something. So after I got my associate degree, You know, which took 2 years, of course.
Mhm.
But, you know, I worked, studied, and tried to, you know, do odd jobs here and there, whatever I could do. And then the bachelor, I started my bachelor degree.
Okay.
Okay, so I started trying to find a job, you know, just for my associates. Well, people wouldn't give me a job.
Really?
No, they wouldn't give me a job.
Because
Of the felony I committed many years ago.
wow.
And that was back in 1984.
So you were actually being honest on your applications
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and that's how they were finding it out,
Mhm.
just for clarification?
Yeah, oh yeah. I was
Wow.
always honest about it. I'm up forward about everything.
Wow.
I don't lie about anything, you know. You know, they say, well, you know, you have a felony. Well, yeah,
In 84?
in 84. Yeah, and here it is, 2003.
Let me ask you this, did you do time for that?
Yeah.
at all?
Yeah, I did 2 years. Well, they sent me 2 years. I did 18 months.
Okay.
And they let me out for good behavior, all that stuff. So I did 18
You
months.
got out though, that's what
Yeah,
counts.
I got out, no probations, no nothing. They were
Great.
just straight flat time, Breezeburg. So anyway, I did my time. And so now, after I got my associates, they wouldn't give me the job because, of course, I was yes, I was convicted of felony because you lie anyway. You know, if you lie, they're going to catch you.
Right.
So, so they, lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
After, yeah, they'd find out anyway.
Right.
You know, after
Right.
you know, if you put on
Yeah.
the application, you know, they might do the background check, of course. You know, some do, some don't. You know, you never know. So I always tell the truth. You know, that's,
Yeah.
in fact, I like it better when I'm told the truth right away. You know, if the broad I'm doing or whatever has VD, I want to know. You know, I want to know. You know, period.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You know, and you know, I'm always solid up front. You know, I'm up front. I tell everybody everything.
Okay.
And in fact, I even said that on my applications, my university applications. They said, "Have you ever been convicted of a crime or whatever?" I said, "Yeah, I was convicted of this." You know, but they let me through. Now it's a different story. I heard that it was a different story now, but that's a specific point. So once I got my bachelor degree, I went out again. I went out to get a job. You know, with a bachelor degree. You know, well, here I go again. Been convicted of felony? Yes. You know, I can't lie. Okay, there it is. Well, you know what? I couldn't even get a mailroom for the county. I couldn't even get a mailroom job
Because of that.
Just mailroom. You know, and I said, well, I'm way overqualified for this position. I just want to put in the door.
Mhm.
That's all I basically want.
Right.
That's it. You know, I don't want to be boss or anything right away.
Yeah.
You know,
Just want a job.
Yeah, I just want in. You know, because I know that they won't let me in because of a felony. You know, so here I am. Okay. So now it's the same trip. You know, I went and got a paralegal certificate. I got some more education. So I went and did a thing for the public defender. You know, I had my internships with the public defender's office. You know, and everything was cool, except there was no job openings there. Okay, so I put out 98 portfolios and, you know, all my resumes to, I mean, just about every lawyer in this town.
Wow.
And not one call. And I went around and I talked to them over and over. No jobs. Finally, I got 4 interviews with attorneys. And each one was a great conversation each time. And they said, yeah, man, here, you know, I knew what I was doing until I got to that question. Have you committed a felony? Yes. And every conversation went downhill at that point. DLC, I went to go to try one of these halfway houses.
Right.
And that was the same thing. My qualifications were great. Yeah, they were biting at that hook. And next thing I know, you've been a medical felony. Yes. Conversation went downhill. And I never got hired for neither one of them. Or nothing. And finally, now these people, Cesar Chavez, they gave me a chance to work. And yeah, and I proved that I can work in that environment, and I know what I'm doing, and the whole bit, you know. But see, District 60 only says, have you ever been convicted of a felony within 7 years? Well, of course not. You know, no, I didn't do anything in the last 7 years, and that's how I got in, was that way. You know, but if they had said, have you ever committed a felony? And chances are, probably not. You know, if I, you know, of course.
Right.
Felony, you check mark a felony, okay. Let's say you were gonna hire me. Would you hire somebody that said, you know, if you were committed a felony, and the check mark is felony, you know, wouldn't you make a second to have a second look at it? Whoa, you know, then you wanna kind of stay away from that, because the simple reason, like Train turned me down for the same reason. I don't have the insurance that would be liable for someone like you, or someone that's been a felon, and you do something, you know, in his company, and he'd be sued for it, and, you know, he's not gonna go through that, so he wouldn't hire me either. And that was another trick. And now, Cesar Chavez is giving me a shot, you know, but it's time to move on, man. Really get a real career going, you know. That's why I'm over here doing a master's program, so that, you know, well, something's got to help, you know. I got a master's degree, give me that mailroom job. Hey,
Right.
you know, they're my foot in the door, you know. That so far, not a one. They won't touch me because I'm an ex-felon. I could understand if I had robbed somebody. I could understand if I had raped somebody. I could understand, you know, crimes like that. But mine was only self-defense, assault and battery. You know, the only problem was I used a weapon.
Wow.
That was my only problem.
Yeah.
And that was almost 20 years ago. And still
Yeah.
to this day, they still judge me because of that felony. They don't look at the person that I really am inside
Right.
now. You know, it's just what's written down on paper. And I'm really getting frustrated with it. And there's been times I've really been angry about it.
Yeah.
I do understand, you know, because I think that, you know, if someone came to me and said that they were a baby raper, or, you know, were a rapist, you know, I'd probably think, well, I don't think so, bro.
Right,
You know,
right.
and you know, and
Yeah.
I kind of understand, including the lawyer thing. You know, I can understand that because I'm an ex-felon. If there was any a court case that I researched or did whatever, you know, interviews or whatever, my
Your piece of the work.
my piece of the work would not be admissible in court because of my felony, you know, and that would just throw the whole case away. And I could understand that, you know, I see where that's coming from. That's what I wanted to do. Well, it didn't work out. So now I'm doing this master's program for community counseling. You know, I got to do something. You know, I'm too old to go back to it, and I'm too deep to go back. You know, it's do or die. You know, that's it. That's all there is to it. And it frustrates me. It's frustrated me for a long time. And now I'm still angry about it, yes, but it's something that I have to live with because it's something that was happening in my past. So I have no choice but to live with it. But it still pisses me off that people just look at my paper and don't look at me.
Right. Right.
So what can I do, Doc?
You know, I've gone through and thought about some things that you shared with me throughout this, and a couple of those things is that, you know, you've been through some real tough times. I mean, you know, getting hurt, going through that experience of being in jail, and having to go through that process was in and of itself probably a really tremendous challenge for you.
Oh, yeah. Well, even just in jail, I didn't turn my back on nobody, you know. They tried to shank me once, but, you know, that didn't work out. He got the blending of that. You know, he just moved too soon. I just caught it coming, so I took care of that. But, you know, I've seen rapes in prison, you know, I've seen the whole bit, you know, but none of that's ever happened to me, and no one ever bothered me, you know. So everything was cool, you know, on that part, you know. But see, that was one of the challenging things, being locked up that whole time. Especially the first 2 weeks was in the hole. The first 2 weeks, because it was a dangerous, crime that I did. It was violent. So they put me in the hole first 2 weeks I was in, and that was quite a challenge just as own. I didn't see anything but just that light and my bed. That was it. The only time I knew what time it was when the guards brought me a breakfast. Well, I knew this was breakfast. Okay, so morning time, you know, lunchtime, dinner time. But I didn't know until the next day.
So did you do that time here in this county or another county?
No, it's another county.
Really?
Yeah, another county.
Okay. Well, that in and of itself, to get through that and to lose your freedom and, just for a moment that caused that to go down. I don't want you to think that I'm telling you that that was right or wrong in my opinion, but just to, to be a part of that and accept responsibility for it. And the way I've heard you throughout this interview to say that you have accepted responsibility for it is that you have not hidden your past. You've brought it out. You put it out front for people to take a look at it. So that says one thing to me, that you have really come to terms with the fact that, you did the crime, you did the time, but you don't have to hide from it. You've brought it out to everybody that you've come up on because you wanted everybody to hear you and as an honest person and to understand you as that. So that there was no hidden agenda coming from you.
Right.
I've heard that from you. And I, looking at the tremendous efforts it must have taken to go through college and money and, getting all of that there just to put yourself in a better positioning, to lift your leg up and then to have to go to these interviews and have them come back after you've been totally honest with them can, cause you to be not only angry but sad or depressed about.
Well, yeah, each one of them, each interview, I just became more and more depressed the whole time, But the only way that I knew that I made me fight more, that's all I really did, I was going to fight smart. That's why I just kept going, kept at it, man. And that's why I'm still doing the master's. Got to keep at it, man. Just do it, dude. Don't stop, man. Don't stop now. I'm going to have a master's degree here real soon.
Yeah, you will.
And I'm not going to stop now. I'm too far along.
Well, one of the interesting things that you brought out to me, a couple of things that I like to kind of throw out, as a way to look at how to help you frame your future, because you've got a bright future ahead of you. And to maybe put this 1984 stuff to bed, okay, is looking at the community placement facilities that you were talking to, the halfway houses that you had gone to, and, the minute they looked at your record and said, hey, we don't want anything to do with you, is I would go back to them and say, and I'm just offering this as one of two options that I'm thinking of right now, is go back to them and say, I need your help because your focus in your role as a community placement facility in this community is to help ex-felons or felons that are on their way out of the system or whatever learn how to live appropriately in society, but more importantly, that encompasses getting a job. Now, you felt that I was inappropriate for you because I did have a felony and I was honest with you about it. Could you tell me how I could get help in learning how to work a community? Because obviously you have all these people that are in here that you're working with that are just out of the joint or out of prison, and you're trying to help them work their way out. Could you help me to be able to be as successful as you're helping them to be successful? Number two would be to go back to some of the attorneys that you felt most comfortable with and say, I understand exactly where your position is as far as the reasons for your not hiring me. But you have to understand that this 1984 thing seems to be a monumental block in my life right now. And my record, you can run it on NCIC if you want. You can do anything you want to check up on from 1990, 84 to now. And so could you help me find or pursue a legal avenue that I could get this expunged off my record or find a way to deal with this in my approach to employers?
Yeah.
And since you can't hire me because you say this, but these are the credentials I'm bringing to you right now, and you've got a legal background and a legal foundation to stand on, could you please help me, in how I should approach a job interview? Is that what's wrong? Am I too honest? And then you can, it's not, hopefully they won't say that you're too honest. But find out from not just one attorney, but maybe several that you feel comfortable with, of going in and asking them, what's the best position for me to take that I cannot find, be found with fault legally in any arena about this 1984 thing. And I don't know, but those were some of the things that were going through my mind as you shared that. I mean, here these people are, in the business to help ex-felons find a place, but because you came to them and said you were an ex-felon, well, there's a little bit something, how you say, wrong with this picture, in the sense that I would go back to them and say, well, you're in the business. And to help ex-felons find a job, but I wasn't good enough for you, and not in a confrontive way, but just to say, can you help me find a job then? Or find a way to navigate my place in life. What do you feel about that?
Those are real good suggestions. They are, but I've tried them before too. Sitting there, yeah, I'm an ex-felon, and when they asked, hey, do you have anything else to say? And I said, yes. And what I told, like the halfway house thing, well, I feel more comfortable if someone like me would talk. If I'm a criminal, I'd rather have to talk to somebody that knows, who's been there, who's been behind the walls, who's had, the experiences that these guys have. I can't see someone that's just read a book to tell me, that I should feel this way, or I should, how I should feel, what to feel, and have someone with a book and not even been there, not been there with the door shut behind you. Right. It isn't the door, it isn't the slamming that bothers you, it's that little click. Yeah. You hear that little click, that's the one that you're fucked. And have you been there? And they say no, well, who the hell are you? How do you know? But that's, I wasn't that confrontal, but I'm angry right now. But that's basically what I said, I could be the person that, yeah, I've been there. I've already earned my boots. I've earned my bones for these guys. I know where you are. I know where you've been. I know where you're going. Or, whatever, because I've been there myself. And I think I'd be the best for this job because of that.
Well, let me interject a couple things here. Going back to them and not being on Front Street for an interview is different. You're positioning yourself in a different way. It's not that you've got all the emotions now in front of them of it, either do or die, because you did say to me that Cesar Chavez had hired you, okay? So going back in from a different direction and asking them that very same question, because see, there's nothing to stake on. And push them to rely on their resources, whatever they've got out there for ex-offenders. And the other thing is that I do know that there are some halfway houses that do hire ex-offenders and make that as a part of their marker, if you will, or their popularity is that we hire ex-offenders. And years and years ago, now I don't know, we could explore and observe an organization called Employee X. And that was ran out of Denver. And some of the founder of that organization, which was, to help offenders that are getting out of prison or like in community placement facilities, was founded by a man who had done time, just like you. He started a phenomenal organization that was made up of ex-offenders, just like yourself. Now, we can explore that, or have you thought about starting an organization similar to that one, or whatever it may be, starting your own business that would deal with people who you say you've owned the bones for, you've earned the bones for. That might be an avenue for you. If the world is blocking you through your perception in that way, there might be another way to start out with all of your experience. And put that together for a piece, if that's the kind of people that you would want to provide a service to, okay? And the other thing that you have going for you right now is that you are employed, and you've been employed how long at Cesar Chavez?
This is my year. My year will be up here next month.
So you've had a year of positive people around you, positive employment, and the thing for you to look at is that's a power base for you that you've never had. In this history that you've given to me. Right. And so that power base could be another stepping stone to other power bases, and to ensure that would be to go to them and get some real positive references for your resume. That people are going to stand in the gap, and I don't know if you've been honest with them because of that 7-year gap with them about this 1984 piece. If you haven't, then that would put something there for you to think about. If you have been, then you've still got more about them saying to the world that in spite of 1984, we still stand behind Placido. Have you tried that? Have you thought about that?
No, and as a matter of fact, not yet. It's coming up. It's coming up. I'm just finishing my year, and the doctors, the principal there, and the counselor there, and all them, they're all backing me up. They said, you want to need a reference? You got it. I even have people in universities. I have criminal justice professors. I have police department people, that are there for me. You're a good dude, man. And I have a county commissioner, that's on my side.
Right.
But she really can't do much.
Well,
But,
you don't think all of that. Excuse me for interrupting, but it's just really kind of gotten me frustrated too for you, because you are an awesome person, and you have so many things on the white collar, the blue collar side of life to give to anybody, as far as experience and education. I mean, you're such an empowering person. I find when you come into your office, I get so much from you, even though you may not know this. I believe that whomever gets the benefit of having you.
Take home.
Right. Okay. So, I don't know how you're feeling right now, so I need to have you tell me how you're feeling.
Well, I feel better talking to you, but I'm still angry about, that, I just want a shot, just a shot, that's it, These people have given me a shot, but the goal that I really want, working in the prison system, or, counseling juveniles, that, I could help these people out. These guys are the ones that are keeping me away, or, maybe it's just me alone. I don't know. Maybe, my credentials are great. That's all I can say. But maybe it's just me. Maybe it is.
Well,
I don't know.
I would like to encourage you to go to, and maybe you can use the time that between now and next week, but I believe that if you will look closely at the Department of Corrections and go to the state personnel system, that they cannot hold the fact that you have committed a felony against you for hiring you. Whether it's the Department of Corrections or any other state agency in the state, they cannot use that against you. They would be violating a federal law and a state statute by doing that. Okay? And so if you would like to, if something in your heart I hear is a passion to want to do that, it would maybe go to the state personnel system and have a discussion with them about it. And then what would you think some other resource places that you could go and look into that would help you be in a better position to look at the road that you really and truly need to go down? What would you think would help you?
Well, I think contacting the governors, even give me expunge everything, that'd be a way to go. And get all the paperwork and get all that together, that it's all legal, down, everything was legit, everything was, the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, everything's cool. Take it to the governor and see if we can get it expunged, get it right out of there, And then I'm sure I wouldn't have any problem, because like I said before, the conversations are great, my qualifications are great, and they said, yeah, man, yeah, you're really good. Until got to that committed felony. Yes.
Well, you said earlier that you had a friend that was a county commissioner or somebody that, not a friend or whatever, or associate or whatever. That would be another opportunity for you. I was suggesting with that county commissioner friend, sit down and talk to him and see if you can't find a couple of legislators here that might help you, be supportive of you with this initiative to the government. Because that sounds like an option that you haven't tried.
Right, yeah, the only thing I went to her about was, what was that? Oh, yeah, the same thing that for the county, how qualified I was, and that I couldn't even get into the county because of this, and I told her that mailroom, that's what it was. I can't even get in the mailroom because why is that? You know, he gave me the blah 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 blah.
County Commissioner?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what do you think about just going back and checking some of these ads out between now and next week? I mean, you're in a different position than you've been in before. You're employed, number one.
Yeah.
And you're employed by a school district 60, and you've got integrity behind you by that employment status that you didn't have when you went to them before. You were knocking on their door as a guy who was unemployed, committed a felony, and had no power base whatsoever. And you could go to them with letters of reference or whatever. How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
Hey guys, quit!
Hi, Felicita.
Oh, hi Timmy, how are you?
I'm fine. You had a good week?
Yeah, it's been a productive week.
Good.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Oh, the kids have been learning more, you know, as because you know summer school is you know a thing for you know kids that were a little behind. You know, so yeah, I want to say I wrote, you know, as just you know as a taste. Like, yeah, I don't want to say you know other things, but the kids did real well this week. You know, they did a lot of math things that they really elevated up real fast. So I was pleased with them.
Wow.
So yes, it has been a good week.
Well, let me see if I understand this correctly so you can help me with your part of this. That in order for those kids to be doing well in math, they have to have a good teacher, right?
Well, yeah, I did step-by-step things,
Did
you know, and entertain, you know, well, you have to entertain, you know, when you entertain children, you know, well, when you try to teach children, you have to make it fun for them. Otherwise, they just sit there going, oh, I don't want to be here, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that.
Tell me how you entertain them. Give me
Oh,
an example.
let's see, every now and then, you know, I let them sit on their desk.
You do?
When I am, you know, explaining stuff on the board, which they really don't need the book to look in anyway.
Right.
You know, and it's like a big charge to them. You know, yeah, they get to sit on the desk, so they'll sit on their desk and just watch me do my thing. You know, doing this and that. You know, and kind of tell a joke here or two, or you know, kind of make them laugh, or do a little dance or something. You know, something that'll get them, you know, you know, a little giggle a little bit. You know, get that out of their system. You know, and get back to the board, you know, this and that, you know, this is what this is, this is what this is. And that's the way I pretty much entertain them, you know, let them do little things that normally they wouldn't do in class. You know, the teachers aren't going to let them sit on their desks, you know, of course not, you know. This is summer school, you know, I want to make it fun for them, you know, not to be so much of a chore.
Right.
So that's how I deal with those children. And it seems to work, you know, they do come pretty much every day, you know, and they're ready to go. They're ready to go instead of going, I mean, so it's, you know, it does work. It does work on that it has its thing. Another time, they were real restless. I could see they were squirming and this and that, you know. And I said, hey, we were doing vocabulary words, as a matter of fact.
Oh.
I said, pick up your books and go ahead and walk around. Walk around. Just take your books with you. So they were over there doing their books, and I said, okay, spell whatever, you know, spell word. So whoever's doing the thing, they're walking around doing their, you know, read the thing, they spell it for me in the whole bit, you know, so they'll wander, you know. But they are looking in their books and just wander a little bit and let them get out of their seats, and that's a real big thing for them.
Mm-hmm.
Just to get, you know, just do something that's out of the ordinary, everyday school things, you know, like pretty much they gotta sit there and pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm more relaxed, and it does help. I found it helps.
Wow.
Whether I do it in if for by any chance that I get a full-time job as a teacher, maybe I'd be more structured. Yes, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but for now, I think that because they're there, they really don't want to be there. There's a summer vacation for them.
Right.
You know, give them a little.
Have them a break.
Give them a little break, you know.
And could you tell me what age group that is that you're...
Oh, these are third graders. They're going to fourth grade. There's little guys, little bitty guys.
Wow, and it's neat that you recognize your energy level.
Yeah, they have to, you know, because I know, remember when I was in school, you know, I don't remember back when I was, you know, third grade, but, you know, that I was fidgety, that I didn't want to be sitting there.
Who was your third grade teacher?
Mrs. Ramsey.
Yeah, mine was Mrs. Fox.
Yeah, Mrs. Ramsey. Oh, this lady, she was one of those teachers that had the ruler, you know, the little yardstick, and if you started to take a little nap, she'd just smack the table, smack! Whoa! Yeah, she was one of those ladies with a little bell and this and that, you know. That's back in the day. But she was really nice.
Wow.
But
I'm glad you could remember her. It's nice to remember that, you know?
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. See, I could see who else. Let's see. Well, fifth grade with Mr. Bradley. He was my teacher in fifth grade. See, in high school there was a bunch of them. So, you know, there's a whole
Let's
slew.
see, I think Elaine Essery was my fifth grade teacher, because Bertha Ford was my fourth grade teacher.
Well,
Isn't it? And there's so many memories attached with that, and the reason I'm asking you to reflect on that is that I am sure that for every child that you have in that room this summer, that when they're as old as you and I are, they're going to remember Placido.
yeah, I hope so. I hope so. You know, and I think I've gotten through to them. You know, and I think I have real good skills as far as being a teacher, you know, a substitute, but, you know, that I could really hone some skills.
You're
to be-
spoiling them
Yeah, I am.
for the
actually.
next teacher.
Yeah, so, you know, I don't know what that's gonna happen there, but, but as for now, I got their attention, and they are excelling,
They're getting it. That's good.
excelling in their thing, and that's what I want, you know, just so they can get their grades and get grades up and the whole bit, you know.
Wow. Well, you know, I think last week, just to kind of come back in and let's,
Okay.
you know, bring this out so we can talk a little bit about it or whatever else you want to talk about, is that we were talking about your past
Yep.
and about that incident that you had with the law. I think it was 1984, right?
Yes.
Right. And, you know, what I wanted to kind of bring into this is that you have just shared with me what an awesome person you are and how dynamic you are with kids and that you can engage them. And what you're also saying to me is that this incident in your life is causing such roadblocks to you in your perception that sometimes I think you might feel like the future perhaps may not have as bright a hope as what you see in those kids' lives right now. But I would like for you to, when you get those moments, to reflect on how powerful you are as a teacher, and that, you know, every day that you're in that world with those kids should be, in my opinion, a reaffirmation to yourself that that incident in 1984 was just that. That it hasn't made or broken you.
No, as the trials that I have been having, you know, well, since our last session that I would talk to you, you know, the trials that I'm having now, you know, it makes me want to it makes me keep going, keep fighting, you know, and I'm going to keep fighting, and that's just all there is to it. But it's just that block, man, that piece of paper that says I'm a felon, I was an ex-felon, you know, and that's the block that I want to get above, but I got to fight it too, you know, and I'm not going to stop. You know,
Well, you know, along those lines, and I just kind of, you know, wanted to go back and review some things with you so that we can be where we need to be with it, at least on this subject. We talked about and explored some options for you to consider doing between last week and now.
Right.
And can you tell me what you thought that we talked about you doing?
Well, you talked about me going to the lawyer, talking to lawyers, and going like to talking or sending a letter to the governor, you know, and trying to get this thing expunged. And all of they're great ideas. But as far as for now that I did this week, all I did was redo my resume. You know, that now I have more things that I can put behind me, because I didn't have anything until now. You know, now it's a different story. And And that's all I've done so far, you know, that's it.
So what did you put on your resume? Let's talk about that for a second.
Oh, it's just that, that now I've worked a straight year of working within, a business sector, community sector, you know, rather than, you know, work just a construction worker,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And now I have more skills, you know, as far as, working with children, you know.
For sure.
Yeah, with working with adults is a different trip, you know, yeah, I got along with everybody there, you know, and we talked and we did the team thing, you know, yeah, you know, you need me to do this, fine, all right, cool, let's go, I'll do it, you know, and, you know, do the team thing, you know, everybody's working as a team in school, of course, you pretty much have to. And I've got gained more skills that way, and that's some of the things I put on my resume, you know, that I built my working as a team skills and this and that, which I kind of had in construction anyway, you know, because we all had to do our piece to build this house.
Right, yeah.
And then that's basically what in education, you know, you have to build the foundation, you have to build the walls, you have to build this and that, you know, get the kids to know the math, to know the, you know, to know all the concepts and this and that, you know, and one will do math, the other one will do science, the other one will do this, but you're building this child, you know, just like you do in a construction thing, you know, and it's basically, you know, it's the same concept, you know, but now I have more of a, that it's in paper, you know, all the reports that I do, everything is down, and I do make reports every day, you know, what goes on, and that's one of the skills that I put on there, is my organization skills, things like this, you know, and I think that it'd be, it's really beneficial to me now that I can go to talk to the governor or whatever, you know, go to a lawyer and say, well, see, look, my skills are building, you know, I'm not just a lowly construction worker and just in college, you know, well, now I'm doing something with it here, but here it is. But as far as going to a lawyer, I haven't done it, no. Yeah.
Well, before we change up to that, let me make reflect on your resume. Have you gone to any of your supervisors that you have currently where you're working and asked for a letter of reference?
No, not yet. Not yet, no.
And, well, we did talk about it.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, so could you talk to me about that?
Yeah, one of the things that I think that I'd rather do is wait till I'm complete, so that everything that they would write is right to that date, you know, the date that I leave. Okay, everything is here, right down the line to the day that I leave. Then I think that they can have a more, well, right now I'm sure they have a real good, they'd give me a real good reference, I'm sure of that, you know, but I want it to be complete, you know, everything is done, everything is completed, you know, Placido has completed this, he has done this, he has gone all the way with these children, and even as far as the grades, by the time the grades come out, you know, for summer school, he said, well, yeah, he brought them up so many percentages, or this and that, you know, and I think I'd wait, you know, at least for the next, until summer school is over, and so I can have those on the report that say, yeah, Placido did this, and this is what happened, this was the result.
Well, those are very good goals to have for that, and I'm glad you're looking at that way.
But as far as asking them, no, I haven't. No.
Okay. But I was only concerned that, you know, you might change supervisors or something in that process, and the person who has seen all this might move on. I mean, I'm just looking at that, I just want to make sure that you watch your back.
Oh, well, yeah, you know, the one that would give it to me is the principal himself. And he is the honcho there, he's going to be a honcho there for a long time.
Really? Okay.
You know, he's not going anywhere, you know, they built that school from Jump Street.
Wow.
From scratch, this is the third year for the school itself.
Oh, nice.
So he was there from the conception of the thing, and now they're building more things. So I know he's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Okay. I was just concerned.
Yeah.
You know how people are these days. They're here today and they're gone tomorrow.
And that was one of the counselors that are there, you know, that I have, you know, that I'm with, and I'm going to want to get a reference from him too, because he is a doctor. He is a doctor, PhD, and the whole thing.
Really?
So and he's one of their counselors.
Great.
And, so I'd like a reference from him because of the, you know.
Right, well, the
PhD
prestige
thing.
of that.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have somebody that has that kind of a marker in their life to say some good things about you.
Right, oh, yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah. Well, okay, I just want to be sure to cover that. And then you were talking to me about the attorney thing, so could you talk to me about that?
The attorney thing wouldn't, I'd feel that I couldn't go to attorney with just a half-assed report. It's gotta be a complete thing ready for them, ready to go, that they can write up the briefs or whatever they need to do. And so that I can go to the governor, everything is complete, everything is done, here, look, it's right here, it's in your face, there, bam. This is what I have to offer, this is who I am, and I think that a thing that I had done 20 years ago should be expunged, or at least, pardoned, or whatever you need, whatever you feel you need to do, because it's all here, it's everything that I've done.
Well, one thing I'd like to just talk about with this is that right now on your side, you're going with the information just between you and I, okay?
Right.
Basically, or maybe some other people that you maybe discussed this with between last week and this week. But we really haven't gotten the input from an attorney about the things you are going to need, in addition to what you think you need, that he might come at you and say, well, Placido, this is all well and great, I'm very thankful that you're getting this, but from a legal point of view, and from the way we need to position you within that structure of the judicial system and the governor, I need to have you be about working on getting this and this. And, if you put that with what you're working on, or he could even look at it and review it and say, well, Placido, you're putting a lot of energy here, but I don't need this. Placido, I need for you to go here and be your energy here in order for it to be what we legally need. Now, some of the things you've talked to me about, like the resume and, some of these references and things like this that you're working on towards that, will be great for whatever arena and playing field you want to play on. But as far as, perhaps from a legal point of view, to get you what you really ultimately want, which is to have them do something about 1984 for you,
Right.
or work on it. I'm not an attorney, and you're not one yet. Could be made by the end of this, but perhaps maybe going to them and that's the reason I kind of wanted you to go and get the reflection from them to come back and say, well, I need for you to focus on this and this, Placido, because maybe it could be quicker for you by focusing on what they need than by not having your input. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay, yeah, it does.
Does that help
you? It does,
you?
okay.
But now, do you have some kind of feeling about that? Because I see that in your face.
Yeah, I think that I'd rather have a complete thing about me. And but yeah, you are right. It would have to take, for them, I'd have to ask them what they need from me. And yeah, okay, I could try that. I could do that. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing, Placido, is that it's always your choice because it is your life.
Right.
And you can go in and you can hear them say, well, Placido, Mr. Rodriguez, I need this and this and this from you in order for us to get your end goal met. And you can take that stuff home. And you can talk it over with yourself, you can bring it in here, you can talk to your loved ones, your family, and you can say, does this make sense or not make sense? And you have the ability, just like that trash can over there, to go over there and either really put it in the trash or just say, this guy's out to lunch. And I'm not going to do any of this. But again, it's broadening from my perception, the opportunity for you to have more choices.
Right.
To get 1984
Right.
behind you instead of continually out here.
Okay.
But again, it's your life, it's your choice, and if you don't feel comfortable with what we're talking about, again, it's okay, because it is your life.
Okay. I will do that. I'll do that. I will get a hold of the attorney, find out what he wants. So I did an internship with an attorney. I do have a paralegal thing, so I I will talk to the attorney that I did my internship with and see if he'll help me out. He's a criminal attorney, but I guess that,
Well, what was that?
he works on like murder cases and
Wow.
things, but maybe he doesn't, maybe not. I think, well, this is not his cup of tea, but maybe he'll to another
Well,
attorney who can,
well-
you know, see.
The other thing is that you're going to somebody that you feel comfortable with. You
Right.
don't know what's happened in the legal arena
Right,
since you and he were together
Right.
as an intern.
right. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So there's a whole lot of things, and you've grown and become, since you did do that internship. with
Right,
him.
oh, yeah. I've come leaps and bounds since then.
Yeah.
I just got out of college and, and got a little more education, it's a legal background now.
Mhm.
And yes, you're right, and I think that I did come leaps and bounds from what I was then.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can't imagine somebody that maybe knew you then along the way and somebody sitting there and looking at you today could not just see a remarkable difference. Because in our sessions, I see a remarkable person in you, in the sense that from where we started at, I see changes in you. I mean, you've got the heart to want to run a race. Any race that you decide you want, you've got the heart to run it.
Oh,
And the ability to finish it.
I'm going to fight all the way, until they put me under that ground. I'm going to fight all the way. I don't go down easy. When I have my teeth in something, I won't let go. That's just me.
You showed me one of those pictures of your little dog. Kind of reminds me of your dog. They got that tenacity to go for. What kind of dog was that again?
Chinese pugs.
Yeah, right, yeah. So they've just got that tenacity.
Mhm.
They're not going to let go.
Yeah.
So either they've taught you or you've taught them. Which is it?
Well, I think they taught me. I tell you the truth. Yeah,
Well, and then the other thing that we talked about, and if I leave anything out along the way, I'm going to depend on you to bring it. And because I just want to make sure that you spent time and money on the last session with me, that I just want to make sure that we bring things up. And so if I miss anything.
Okay.
But about possibly going to a community placement, halfway house. And because you were coming from a different direction now, not having to have the job and the pressure on and wanting to just so bad to have that, what your heart wanted. Now you're in a different place of going and talking to them about, well, do you hire ex-offenders or not? Or, what is it going, or what could I do different in order to come back into you again? Did you give that some thought?
No, I hadn't, no.
Well,
No,
thank you for your honesty.
No, I hadn't. I'm still trying to finish what I'm doing now, and I'm doing to me it's like a step by step. Well, I got the resume ready. This is down on paper here. Read whatever you want out of it. What you don't like, well, you don't. But as far as talking to somebody else, no, I haven't at all.
Okay. Well, again, it's your choice. So you have to decide whether you feel comfortable with where you're going right now and what that's going to give you at the end. Because we always want to keep our focus on the end goal, And I've heard you say from the beginning of this process that 1984 is the goal, to say goodbye to it.
Right.
So, however, I can only make suggestions, and again, it's your life, and, the choices that you make, you're focusing on that end run for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And
I want to get over that. I got to get over that hurdle. One way or another, it's got to go away. Well, I guess I can't make it go away because it is part of what I...
Yeah, it's part of what you are today.
Yeah,
This moment, it made you.
Yeah, it has.
So, I mean, why would we want to throw out something that was really a part of making you better than you could ever be in a way? Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't there, there would be a piece of you missing.
Oh, I'd probably still be in the construction business, not even worried about it,
Yeah.
But, or maybe even out on the streets for that matter, but it's made me want to fight, and I'm still going to fight. But for now, I'm still angry because, they have shut the doors. Then, that doesn't mean now.
That's right. That's right.
Then they shut the doors. So, I want to go over that hurdle, even within me.
Well, and those are two things that we need to look at, because there is you getting past it and those feelings and stuff, and then there's the world getting past it. And I want you to think about looking at what is the most important thing for you for our next sessions to look at, is that, where do you want to focus your energy at? What's most important for you is to get past the you piece or to get past their piece. And we can work on that because each of them, will blend in the end, but each of them have kind of like a different process that we would need to go through. I can tell you from just looking at where I'm coming from with how we would look at that would be that for you to get past their perception in that block in your life is more procedural kind of things and technical kind of things, and like for instance going to this attorney for you to figure out some things that and your resume. Those are not really emotionally invested kinds of things in some ways.
Right. Well, true.
Would you? Okay.
I agree.
And the other side of it is you getting past what that meant to you as far as to having your freedom taken away, as far as being put in a cell, as far as the anger and all the things that went on, the family, and then after going through all of that, then to get out and having it still be haunting you in some kinds of ways since 1984. Now, my having just said that to you, what does that make you feel like?
Well, I'm done. I'm back to the beginning. Feeling that anger again. That God, they closed the doors on me. Back then, fine. That was, okay, because I'm fresh out. But now it's 20 years later, and in the last 2 years, they shut the door, and I'm a completely, totally different man, and I'm still angry inside because of it. Yes, I still do get the depressed feelings and things, but I try. I tell myself, hey, well, you're not gonna stay there, dude. You're going on. You're not done. You still got another year for this master's thing, and you're not done yet.
No.
When I'm done is when, like I said, when they bury me, that's when I'm done.
And I believe that. I believe that about you. And so, like, you just expressed to me that you're having feelings of depression about it still. You're having feelings of anger about it. You're still frustrated by the block that's there. So that's talking about feelings.
Right.
So when you think about, the future are working on different things, then you have to know that side has got the feelings. And the other side is a process.
Right.
So it's up to you to choose where you want to focus, your time with me, or even your own energies when you're not with me. And you can take some time to think about that, because those are feelings on one side, and another is a part of slowly getting that agenda on the legal side of it to get that part out of your life. I mean, that might be the easiest part, is to get that legal process taken care of.
Yeah.
And the other side of it, you're still left with Placido working through those issues.
Yeah, well, I think that would alleviate a lot, is doing the legal side. Get that out of the way, because yes, it's still a big if in me, still a big pressure in me. That what if they don't? What if they don't?
Right. A lot of what ifs.
Yeah, a lot of what ifs. But I'll never know that unless I.
I want to share this with you. I talked to somebody after our last session, and just how colleagues talk about different things, but never have your name or anything. And it was just like, you talked to me about your disappointment, for instance, of working, going and applying with the Department of Corrections, for instance, about and their philosophy of, or seemingly to just slam the door on you because you were an ex-offender. And I happened to ask somebody in a pretty high administrative position about, could you tell me about what the protocol is for the Department of Corrections and ex-offenders? And, I was given the information that that they do hire ex-offenders. So I just kind of left it at that and thought I would bring that back to you to say, maybe at the time that you applied or whatever, there was a mental step, and there's different people that have come and gone in that process, to say, if you want to knock on that door again, go knock. All right? And, what can happen out of that is that, yes, you can get a yes, or they can still, be saying, oh, I'm sorry, we don't have a job right now, which will be good information for me because I'm getting one thing out of somebody and having reality being you, still a no. And I would like to have that back in the end, somewhere along the way with you, because I don't want to go around, affirming to somebody to go knock and find out that if they're got this agenda to say it, but they're not really doing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, except that I was in the newspaper already, well, let's see, when was that, Tuesday? Monday, Tuesday, anyway, early part of this week. Anyway, I was on the internet, and then I found they would needed a person for DLC, and it said right in the middle of the whole paragraph, in big bold, no felony convictions.
See.
No felony convictions.
Wow.
So
Well, I'm glad that you shared that with me, because I haven't been, I haven't checked that stuff out. I mean, I don't read the papers, well, I don't have a lot of time to get into that fine print, but I'm glad you shared that with me, because now I can go back and say, well, you say this, but you put it in black and white in the paper. And it doesn't matter really to me right now what they come back and say to me, because it's a moot point. You pointed me out something there, which we need to look at in life, is that one person says something, and then there's another is in writing. Their behavior showed us that they can say something to us, which is what you've been experiencing.
All the
right.
time.
So now they put it in black and white. So, it's a moot point for me, but thank you for sharing that with me.
That was just sweet. And that made me angry again.
Oh, sure.
No felony convictions. Well, all right, okay. So, but I did print it, well, I don't have it with me, but I did print it, and, it was there.
Yeah.
It did make me angry again.
Wow.
Well, okay. No problem.
Okay, so we've got from them that whether they say one thing or do the other, that their behavior is no. So we won't knock on that door again. We'll just leave them in the dirt. I mean, it's their loss.
Well, yeah, it is.
They're not going to get you.
Yeah, I'd be a hell of an asset.
I believe that.
As far as I believe in me, it'd be one hell of an asset. But I'm still angry.
Well, and like I said, I think that your decision about what parts you want to work on, both of those, whether it's the processing of just the legal pieces, or getting into really where you're at with your feelings, all of that's going to work together in the end to get the anger in a different position and a different way for you to frame it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I will start working on the legal part rather than, but I still will. I'd still like to talk to you about, my feelings about these things. But alleviating the legal part, I think that was a very good suggestion, and I will take that to heart, and I will try.
Okay. Well, also let me tell you that I'm going to be prepared to work on you's feelings also about the legal part, because that could have some frustrations along the way.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. I know the legal system isn't the most perfect thing, but it's the best we have.
Right.
But I'm sure I will have frustrations within it. Yeah.
Well, and your openness and just desire to continue to try, and no matter what they throw at you, you're going to catch it and throw it back. And but before we go, I want to ask you. You told me you've spent some time on the resume, and that's kind of like a moment with you. Tell me what you felt like when you went over that resume.
Oh, I thought I almost walked on water.
Yeah.
The way I made myself, I say, hey, I did great, and I'm sure that I can do well for anybody that I, just the way that I talked about myself.
So
what I had accomplished so far.
Wow. Well, now you had that feeling when you went over the resume and you just discussed it with me, and you're feeling really good about it, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right. So I want to end our session today with you hanging on to that feeling about how great you are, and know that no matter what is between now and next week, or I think we're going to see each other. Do you want to see me next week?
Oh yes,
okay,
please.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. That no matter what that week has to hold for you, I want you to go back and get that resume and go over it again and remind yourself that you are a winner.
Oh yeah, and that's just the frustrating part, is that I know I can do this for them. It's just that, well, now how do I get past them to do this? And I know I can.
Well, isn't there a saying that's something about, and maybe I've got it wrong, but where there is the will, there's a way. And I believe that you will find a way.
Oh, yeah, that's, like I said, I'm not done.
No,
By any
no.
means.
Well, I'm gonna look forward to your coming back to me with some things, of whatever it is that you choose to do with this attorney,
Yeah,
okay?
okay.
And it doesn't have to be a lot. And if you come back to me and say, I didn't make a choice to do it all because I felt this way, you know, I understand that. Like I said, it's your life, it's your ship. Just picture yourself out there if you can in the middle of the ocean, and it's your decision, you know, about which way you want the boat to go. But never give up on Flipper, because I do believe Flipper's right out there.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay?
I'll
You
do that.
take care.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Great job, you guys. It was wonderful.